Seeing this campaign teased all the way back in March has made the wait for this DLC that much harder, especially when we haven't had a story DLC since 2012 with Ram Shadow for Gears 3. Will this be a great addition to the Gears universe, or will it be a disappointing flop that isn't worth your time? Lastly, if you're new here to the channel and enjoyed the video, smash that like button and hit the sub button. Every single one really helps me out. Oh, and there'll be major spoilers for the story in this review. Now, on to the video. The DLC focuses on Team Scorpio, who are the original 3 Hivebusters, Lahni, Mac and Keegan. This is their very first outing as a squad. The DLC costs $20 or it's included with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. You can also pick up the DLC as part of the Game of the Year edition of Gears 5, which has been recently released. Unfortunately, if you do own the Ultimate edition already, the DLC is not included with your purchase, which, in my opinion, is a bit shit. The DLC was advertised as a 3-hour story and contains 6 chapters. My first playthrough on solo experienced was 1 hour 20 minutes, and I died around 4 times throughout, so it's safe to say the 3 hours was a bit of a stretch. Nonetheless, what is here is really fun, and I think it was more enjoyable than the Gears 5 main campaign. The gameplay returns to a more traditional experience, ditching the open world. I like this as it didn't feel unnecessarily bloated like parts of Gears 5. There is the Gears 5 twist added, where each of the playable characters have an ultimate ability ripped straight from the multiplayer. Lahni has her electro blade, Keegan has his resupply, and Mac has his shield. These are pretty useful actually, Keegan's ammo resupply especially. You can upgrade your abilities by finding small stone tablets like Jack's upgrade notes in the main campaign. They unlock an instant upgrade like shock chain for the electro blade or longer duration for resupply. I have to say I was hesitant at first, but they feel really fun to use, especially in co-op. As you can imagine, a big part of the Gears gameplay is based around set pieces, and there are some really good ones here. One of the standout moments is when you ride a giant vault door down a river of lava while avoiding swarm and lava waterfalls. Or lava falls? I don't really know. Another part I really enjoyed involved you escaping the prototype venom bomb while sprinting from the gas and through dying swarm enemies. Despite my reservations about the short campaign, I never felt bored or tired of the gameplay, despite it not adding a whole lot to the sandbox or gameplay loop. It's geared closer to the games before 5 with just enough to make it feel a bit more fresh. There are a few major bugs too. In the first chapter I was able to activate the DR1 twice, so managed to use it again after it was destroyed. When completing the campaign, the skins don't unlock properly, and the fix is to play as Keegan on chapter 6 and wait for the achievements to pop. Lastly, the final cutscene for me just played with no music at all and continued to stop music playing for the whole game until I restarted it. Bugs are to be expected, but the unlockable one is pretty embarrassing. There are a few negatives, this is just me being honest with you, and don't think they negate the fun experience that is already here. There is only one new enemy here. This was a missed opportunity to add even a few new drone classes, even the Scorcher one from the Gears 5 art book. If anything, my biggest complaint is that there wasn't enough of it. There is definitely more to be fleshed out here. As mentioned before, the story is about Mac, Keegan and Lahni before they were designated as Scorpio. They are sent on a secret mission to the Glongi Islands where their condor is destroyed by a flock of leeches. They are not told what it is they're doing or where they're heading. Upon jumping out of a condor, they land in the jungle where they encounter a toxic, unknown vapor that causes them to hallucinate, remembering negative things about their past. They eventually meet up and escape, with a raven piloted by Tak. As they are extracted, they can see the swarm being attacked by an unknown creature spitting corrosive venom at the swarm, decimating them. Throughout the mission, you can tell there's an uneasy alliance between the 3 of them, with Mac being an outsider, Keegan being a former Onyx guard, and Lahni being an ex-soldier who was banged up for disobeying orders. Sound familiar? They eventually reach their objective and it is revealed that retired Victor Hoff has summoned them for a top secret mission to test out a new chemical weapon on the swarm, developed by Cole's daughter Hannah. To summarise, the venom doesn't work and they are forced to escape the hive. The base was the COG's original contingency plan before Azura was a thing, but failed because the temperatures would be uncontrollable as it sits on an active volcano. The bunker was meant to be inaccessible to the Locust as the Glongi Islands were separated by a massive ocean trench from mainland Tyrus. Lo and behold, the COG buried some Locusts there after the war, so it's infested with swarm. Plan A doesn't work, so Lahni suggests going to her home island of Waheli to find out about that creature on the beach. The plan also doesn't work, leading to Hannah being snatched by a snatcher. They find out the swarm have been using lava tubes to move around the islands. They discover the creature is called a Wakatu, and they want to use its venom for a new bomb, and Mac has the idea to get inside the hives using snatchers. They go back to Pahanu to get a sample of the venom, do battle with the beast and get their sample. This leads to the creation of the venom bomb and the adrenaline defibs that Hivebusters use. One of the big issues with the cast at launch is that these no-names were in the game before the staple characters, and after a DLC and a comic, these characters are so much better for it. I really like all three of these characters, with Mac being my favourite. Each of them has experienced loss and guilt. Mac lost his son to the swarm, he wasn't at the village ready to fight, admitting he wasn't a fighter anyway. Keegan was stationed in Azura, where he was tasked with protecting the Cog Elite and not fighting the war on the mainland. He was one of the few survivors of the Onyx Guard from Azura. Lahni disobeyed a direct order which led to the death of her captain. She was a member of the Brash Brigade, a group of Cog tasked with cleaning up the last few locusts after the Emulsion countermeasure was fired. This was top secret and is classified information from most Cog and civilians. The game really shows the growth of Scorpio's characters. They start off as a group who really don't get on and become a squad of friends that are happy to take on any mission. Hoffman is back, which is nice. He was forced to take retirement from the Cog, which is hinted at due to the difference between Jin and him. He really doesn't like her, and that makes sense. I'll save this discussion for a fleshed out video, but it's got some really good repercussions. Tak was underutilized. His relationship with Hoffman isn't really expanded upon. I assume he's related to Tak, but this is left out in the open. Hannah is quite one-dimensional. She's a brain box who appears to be the opposite of Cole. This is never really expanded upon either, other than the fact she hates Thrashball. She does give some exposition about Cole, where he's a much quieter man at home and was proud of his achievement to secure a world safe for his daughter. It's upsetting that Cole has had so little development in the main story, because all we see is a fearless, deadly machine that is a comic relief. I'd really like this relationship expanded in future. The story is pretty simple, and as a consequence, it is very low stakes. We know everyone is getting out alive, and this isn't the fault of the campaign team, but everything from the ending to the final boss was spoiled in the trailer. There's no surprise appearance, no twist, no reveal, or even a tease. They did the same with Gears 5, and I really hate everything being in trailers. I feel they could have dropped a little hint towards Gears 6, confirmed if Bernie is alive, or have a returning character show up unexpectedly. It's a simple tale, so there's not a lot to mess up. On one final note about the plot, the Swarm are just so laughably weak. For the successors to the creatures that brought Sierra to its knees, they are laughable villains. They continue to be dumb, they continue to be brainless cannon fodder, and really are useless. Why is this the case? Well, the Wakatu constantly has them on the back foot and physically has them running scared. The Wakatu is powerful, don't get me wrong, but the single creature is enough to fend the Swarm off from an entire island, the main antagonist of the saga, and its poor writing / world building. I just couldn't imagine the Locusts having an issue with it when their battle beasts or even elite units could take down the Wakatu, but the entire Swarm are shit scared of it. I feel like we could have got some more information on their backstory or a bit of a buff too in the DLC, but none of that really happens. We're at the 11th hour of this saga now, and I feel like Gears 6 will struggle to explain 3 games worth of backstory. These points are confined to someone who really likes the lore and the world of Gears, so it might not hamper your experience. The game is absolutely stunning. I cannot get over how fantastic these islands look. From the sweeping jungles to the white beaches of Pahanu or the quiet village of Waheli. The game really expands on the Gears universe. It's again nice to get away from the urban environments of the previous games, so more of this please. I played it on the Xbox Series X, and honestly is probably the best way to play. As far as I know, the PC hasn't had that visual upgrade yet, but I could be wrong. As for extras, you do get 3 skins for completing it: the long-awaited Onyx Guard Keegan, Brash Brigade Lahni, and Cog Armor Mac. We've known about Keegan for well over a year now, and Lahni has been teased for a few months. These are actually the first earnable character skins in the game that are tied with campaign progression and aren't time limited. I think that's absolutely astounding. I'm surprised these weren't in the store, so that's really nice. That's all you really get with the DLC. Hannah, Hoffman, and Tak are not expected to release anytime soon because it's recently been leaked that Sid and Michaela from Tactics are finished and seem to be coming soon. Expect these characters for mid-operation drops. Personally, I think it's really shit that these 3 characters aren't playable multiplayer. It would make sense to drop them next, but hey ho, I've been talking about these silly decisions for months. If you haven't picked up this DLC, absolutely go and play it, preferably with 2 friends. I really enjoyed my time with this DLC and I really wish we had more. My biggest gripe to an otherwise great expansion is the length, especially compared to similarly priced expansions. If you want to know more, absolutely go play it yourself. Have you played the DLC yet? If so, let me know, and also let me know what you think about it. As always, I always strive to talk about everything and tell you guys the truth, so you're not ambushed by good or bad things when you play something. If you're new here and want to support the channel, consider hitting subscribe. I'm past the halfway point towards 1,000 subs, and the more I grow, the more content I can pump out. Thanks again for watching.